Call the Tewksbury Conservation Commission meeting to order August 14th, 2019. First order of business is reorganization of the committee. Take nominations for chair.
Nominate Steve Defkoff for chair.
Second?
Second.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And next item, I nominate Mr. Holland for vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Mr. Rohrabacher, I nominate you for clerk. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
You win.
You win. All right. Next item on the agenda is, I'm going to go through this thing real quick. There are a bunch of continuances. So there was an item B, continued from July 10th, public hearing notice of intent, Richard Montori, town manager, 984 Main Street, map and lot 4779, 4780, 4881, and 4893, DEP number 3051073. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th, 2019. Next item that we know of that's requesting a continuance is a public hearing notice of intent, Mark Ginsburg, 300 Ames Pond Drive, map 66, lot 12. DEP number is pending. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th, 2019. And public hearing, request for determined applicability, Tina Razzaboni, 260 North Billrica Road, map 3, lot 88. This is going to be continued to September 4th. We also have a public hearing request for determination of applicability, Arthur G. Marcos, Tewksbury Department of Public Works, Breckenridge Road, between number 89 and number 130, map 111, lot 72, 71 and 72, and Jenny's Way, first lot on the left side, map 110, lot 108. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th, 2019. Next item, continued from July 10th, 2019, an enforcement order, Ray Vibert, 21 Sandy Lane, map 94, lot 305. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th. And a public hearing notice of intent for Ray and Michelle Vibert, 21 Sandy Lane, map 94, lot 305, DEP number pending. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th, 2019. All right, we'll be doing those and officially making the motions to continue, but I just wanted everyone, if they're here for those matters, just to be aware the applicant's requesting a continuance. So, first item on the agenda is a public hearing notice of intent. Oh, approval of minutes. Yes. Sorry. First item is a approval of minutes for June 5th, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, there were no minutes. That meeting was,
Right.
we didn't have a quorum, so.
They still gave minutes. Still minutes to approve.
Was that
Yeah, so basically it was just, everything was continued to the next June 19th meeting, so their minute, I mean, we weren't here, but we should approve them anyways, so can I get a motion to approve? So moved. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. And as for the approval of minutes for June 19th, 2019, do I hear any recommendations?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for June 19, 2019.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. We have it for July 10th, approval of minutes, July 10th, 2019.
So moved.
No minutes.
No minutes for that one, right, okay. We'll table that one to the next meeting. So now, first item on the agenda next is continued from July 10th, 2019, a public hearing notice of intent, John Fenaros, BTGOG LLC, 2131 Main Street, map 96, lot 53, DEP 3051070. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr.
Introduce
Chairman.
yourselves for the record.
My name is Andy Street with Civil Design Consultants. John Panaris, applicant.
All righty. So, what do we have going on here?
So we have not been here for a while regarding this project. I believe it was actually March, I think, was the last time we were here. A lot has happened on the planning side of things, but not much on the conservation side, which is why we've repeatedly continued this. But last week, planning actually approved the design that's in front of you tonight. So what I'd like to do, just kind of give a quick refresher, since it has been several months, about the site, what the proposed development is, and then talk specifically about what's changed since March.
Be
So
great.
This is about a 2.5 acre parcel located at 2131 Main Street. Currently, there are no buildings on it. There's a degraded driveway accessed by 2 curb cuts on Main Street. The rear portion of the site was subject to a failed development several years ago, I believe in 2010. So that's degraded, compacted, some fill materials, overgrown. On the right-hand side of the page, the north side of the property, there's a bordering vegetated wetland that was flagged by Norse Environmental back, well, about a year ago, August of 2018. There's also a FEMA floodplain at elevation 87 in that general area as well. So that bordering vegetated wetland has the buffer zones, the 100-foot buffer zone, the 50-foot no build, and 25-foot no disturb that all carry onto the property, and we're proposing work in those buffer zones, which is why we're here. So the development itself is a mixed-use development consisting of townhomes spread out over 3 different buildings. We have, 15 units in the current design, and there's a 2,000 square foot commercial space located along Main Street. The commercial space has parking behind it, a parking lot, and each unit has 2 spaces stacked in tandem at their units. So utilities are provided, water, there's a sewer line that runs along the left side of the page there, the southern part of the property that will tie into. The water will come from Main Street. Stormwater will be captured in catch basins as a trench drain at the driveway and piped into subsurface systems. That whole drainage system is designed to meet the DEP standards, handle peak flows, and meet or reduce flows up to the 100-year storm. As far as the buffer zones go, we have portions of several buildings, some parking areas, grading, minor utility work, all taking place in the 100-foot. There are no buildings in the 50-foot, and some really limited to grading activities. Small portion of the driveway is going with the commercial spaces in that 50-foot, no structure zone there. The last plan you saw had 16 units on it. This plan shows 15. That's really the only substantive change from that plan we showed you back in March. And that loss of unit took place on building 1, which is the one on the left-hand side of the driveway as you pull in. With that change, there was some associated site grading and utility changes and things, but all of which took place outside of any buffer zone or jurisdictional areas for this commission. So the stormwater system remained the same, which means that it worked before, and now we have less impervious surface, so it works even, I guess you could say, even better now, further reducing peak flows. I think the comments we had worked through prior to that last meeting we were at, we had added some placards along the 25-foot no disturb zone, designating it as such and making sure that it isn't touched in the future. A no snow storage sign. There's a lot of S's in a row. It's placed at the end of the commercial parking lot, making sure that nobody dumps snow close to the wetlands there. And then we also, we agreed that the wetland today has some trash and debris in it and things like that. And there's a note been added to the cover sheet instructing the contractor, whoever develops this, to remove that trash prior to construction. So I think that kind of sums up where we are. Again, there's really, since last time we were here, where we got the general impression that we had kind of addressed the comments and concerns of this commission, the DEP as well. There were some minor comments there that we worked through several months ago, but we're certainly open to any more questions or comments. Thank you.
So technically, this is a continuance, so Mr. Robacher, we're going to kind of skip over you for questioning. But, Mr. Holland, do you have any issues?
I have no issues. The only thing, did the footprint remain the same or
On that building,
on that building?
so it shrunk. So all the units are the same size, so we just kind of chopped a unit off on the Main Street side of the building. So
Okay.
the footprint got smaller.
And again, just to reiterate, there's no dumpster, it's town pickup, correct?
Yeah, so the town will pick up for the residential units, and then the commercial, there's no dumpster pad, that'll have to be stored and then privately picked up, but not in the exterior.
Okay. And just to remind you also, the commercial cannot be a restaurant.
Correct, yeah, there's no intention of making it a restaurant.
I'm just
Yep.
making sure, because
Sure.
before you go dig holes, you have to have certain things through the Board of Health for
Right, yep.
drainage.
Yeah, there's no intention of that.
That's all I have, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. Mr. Sheehan?
I'm good.
And you're good? And this is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on this matter? Seeing no one rising.
I just have two comments.
Pardon me?
I just have two comments.
Oh, sure.
I just want to make sure, just to say the conditions again, since it's been a while. There were two conditions that we had discussed, and that was the two sets of erosion controls, the silt fence and the straw wattle.
Yep.
And then prior to construction, the trash will be removed from the wetlands in the 25-foot. But the trash removal in the wetland will be by hand, no heavy machinery or vehicles in the wetland, and they can work with me beforehand to
Yep.
go through that. Okay.
Oh, that's fine,
Alright.
yep.
Everyone understand those conditions that she just stated? All right, so everything looks good from my side, so can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And as for the application, I get a motion to approve and with a standard order of conditions with the two special conditions that Stefania just mentioned. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And the next item on the agenda was a before mentioned continued from July 10th, notice of intent, Richard Montori, Town Manager, 984 Main Street, map and lot 4779, 4780, 4881, and 4893, DEP 3051073. The applicant is requesting continuance to September 4th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. There's another hearing continued from July 10th, the public hearing notice of intent for Southern End Realty, 1420 Andover Street, map 39, lot 10, DEP 3051076.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering and Surveying, 10 George Street, Lowell. We're here for a continued meeting. If you recall, at the last meeting we just wanted to make sure that everything was completed with the Planning Department, which was approved last week. And the addition to the plan was the planning board just wanted the access drive to be increased by 2 feet from the 12 feet to the 14 feet. And we did some additional test pits where we have subsurface drainage for each of the roof runoffs to each of the 2 dwellings in the rear. And we went out and conducted 2 additional test pits for that. And we, with the 2-foot wider driveway, we updated the stormwater calculations to make sure that that was all coincided with that expansion of the pavement.
And that's okay?
And that's okay, yes.
All right. So everything's all set.
If you, just to bring it back to where we were before, the main change that the commission wanted was us to remove some pavement in this little area across from the first house on the right, so that that area would be restored outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone.
Right.
And then we also pulled the erosion and sedimentation control line back to be at the toe of the slope of the grading along the drive.
Okay.
We also have added some additional trees to the abutter to the rear. So we've added 6 pine trees for the abutter.
Very nice.
But if you can notice on this plan how much green there is, because that's how much green there really is going to be.
Yeah.
That existing home's going to be removed, which pulled that away from the buffer to the wetland, which was an improvement. We're going to decommission all the septic components. And all the work's going to be outside of the 25-foot no disturb. And now all the water's going to be treated before it gets to the wetlands, which should be a big plus for the wetlands.
Stefania, do you have any?
I just have one thing. I know the engineering department for the town issued a letter on August 1st. I know they still had some outstanding comments. I just want to make sure anything that would need to be revised to meet their requirements, if it's within the buffer zones, the application will just need to come back. So I don't know if any of these comments would
Yeah, so the
require
comments
any
you're referring
changes?
to would be stuff related to the entrance.
Okay,
And all of that was approved by the planning board.
okay,
So there's going to be no infrastructure-related items that would affect the grading or the level of disturbance related to the plan we have now. And if there is something that needs to come back before the commission, we would do that. The one thing that may happen is we may be extending a water main off the roadway, but that would be within the drive itself, and that may come in approximately 150 feet into the drive. But again, it's not going to require any disturbance other than what's shown here. It would be subsurface.
So this is still a private way, correct?
That's correct.
And it's all 3 homes are going to be on town sewer,
That's correct.
okay? And the only other difference is that you made it 2 feet wider.
Pretty much, yeah. There were some changes related to technical aspects of how the drive comes out into Andover Street and the rounding of the right-of-way. But the plan essentially hasn't changed other than what you just said.
Okay.
Was at the addition of the 2 feet, which ended up being away from the wetland. And then there was some soil testing that we did to make sure that the separation from the bottom of the infiltrators was met relative to the roof runoff into the infiltrators for each home.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Shear?
I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Ippolito?
I'm good.
All right. Is a public hearing, anyone to be heard on the matter? Seeing no one rising, looks good to me. I don't think we have any special conditions. There's no objections. Can I get an approval of the notice of intent and with the standard order of conditions?
We got to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And as for the notice of intent, can I get a motion to approve with the standard order of conditions? The plans referencing 7/26/19.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you so much. All right. And one last continued public hearing. A notice of intent, John Fineros, ACC Realty, 1037 North Street and 1547, 1553, 1563 Andover Street, map 39, lots 45 through 48, DEP 3051077. Good evening.
Good evening.
Introduce yourself for the record once again.
My name is Andy Street, Civil Design Consultants. John Fineris, applicant.
All right.
So similar to the project at 2131 Main Street, this is one that we opened with this commission and haven't been back for a little while we work through some layout and design changes really associated with the DPW and the planning board. The plan closest to the podium here is what the most recent iteration of this layout. And at this point, it really is just the layout. We met with the planning board last week to present the plan you see, really just for general feedback. It's a pretty drastic change. The plan up on the high easel there is the prior layout that was before this commission. And now we're looking at this one near the podium, which is much different. It's 2 less units. We're down to 18 units, different configuration of the driveways, and the buildings are split up. Obviously, it's quite a bit of change. So we were at the planning board seeking their feedback and are here tonight to seek the general feedback of the Conservation Commission for this layout. So we have off the southern property line, there's a section of BVW that was flagged by CCAMP Environmental. Those buffer zones extend onto the property. Both these designs have work proposed within the buffer zones. In this new layout, we are reducing the impact in the 100-foot buffer zone in total by close to 2,000 square feet. Well, impervious surface, I should say. There's 2,000 square feet less impervious surface in the 100-foot buffer zone and about 200 square feet less impervious surface in the 50-foot no-build zone. There's no buildings proposed in that no-build zone. That impervious is sidewalks and roadways. Both designs included pervious pavement that will capture and treat stormwater. And then the general grading pattern today is it flows from the intersection of North Street and Andover Street diagonally to the southwest across the page. And that's the pattern we're trying to maintain with water that isn't entering the pervious section. So along the southern property line, we're showing a swale that's really designed to kind of collect runoff from that side of the property and direct it off to the right-hand side of the page and kind of away from the abutter there to the south and into the the wetland system. There's a channel back there that kind of goes off and meanders off to the side that it'll go into as well, which is what it does today. So in general, though, we are reducing the amount of water, meets all the DEP guidelines. We haven't completed and submitted a full design yet, but as I said, we're hoping to get some general feedback, and if there's any big red flags from this commission, then we'd certainly address those if and when we go to final design. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Well, it looks like everything's outside of our 50-foot no build and just a little pavement in it. Looks good. And the drainage is going to be pervious pavement. And you said a swale?
Behind
Basically
Building 5. So that's the southernmost building there, closest to the 50-foot. So,
And you're going to drain it over to the right-hand side?
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to mimic the patterns that exist today, the drainage patterns that exist today as much as we can.
Yep. Oh. Looks okay to me. Mr. Holland?
The pervious pavement, this is going to be a private road, I'm assuming.
It's driveway, but yes, it'll be private, yeah,
Okay.
not a
and
public road.
In an association of some type?
Correct.
And they're going to maintain the pervious pavement because that does get,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. There'll be certainly be an O&M plan that will be included and updated for the next submission we make to this commission, and that will carry with the homeowners association, and it'll be their responsibility. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Yeah, just gotta keep it vacuumed, right?
That's right, yeah.
Mr. Sheehan?
I'm good.
We're good.
All right. This is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on the matter? Yes, sir. Can you just up at the podium, just introduce yourself for the record?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Peter McNamara. I represent Kathleen McNamara, who is the owner of the property at 1015 North Street, the immediate abutter. We were here, I was here last in March, excuse me, and raised issues about the drainage along the property line. I have a series of pictures that I took, I think, back in June in anticipation of the June meeting that never occurred. And they show the property boundary from my sister's side of the fence. I'd like to submit them if I could. And if I could, excuse me, clarify for a moment from what Mr. French said. He's speaking about the swale. Is this the same that was brought up at the planning board, the pre-existing swale? Or is this new?
Mr. Chairman, is
If through the chair.
Oh, sure.
so it's, this is a proposed swale.
The reason I ask, Mr. Chairman, is that there is an existing swale that was built 25 or 30 years ago. It was dug 25 or 30 years ago, I believe, by the town to help the drainage situation. It's overgrown now, but if this swale is going to sufficiently help with drainage, that's fine. I was going to ask that perhaps there might be some kind of a detention pond or a small detention area that would allow gradual infiltration, because right now that area really doesn't drain very much at all. If you'll see by the pictures, there was standing water back in June. That area has drained somewhat, but there is still a 2 or 3 foot swath of grass along the property boundary that can't be cut because the machines, when they try to cut it, sink in. So that is the conditions that are depicted in the pictures still remain. So that's my main concern. The only other concern I would have is the buffering along the boundary. And I guess the driveway in its current configuration is lining up across from Deering Drive. Is my understanding from the presentation of the planning board. And this, again, it's a little bit better than the prior design, but it's still going to, when people are coming in at night, the headlights are still going to be shining onto my sister's property, onto the home. And I just want there to be sufficient buffering along that property line that will minimize the inconvenience of that.
Now, that might actually be a little bit outside of our scope, but I do see a line of bushes on the plan.
Yeah, and there is vegetation there now,
Yeah.
but
Looks like it's going to remain. Is that true? It's like,
We'll
but getting back to the swale question, which is more up our in our wheelhouse. I don't know if there's anything someone could do to make a detention pond when it's already puddling there. So, I mean, if it's got, I don't know what the drainage situation, but as far as the swale's concerned, those pictures, did you see them?
I have
Bunch-
not, no.
Yeah. Looks like that's the area where you're going to be building the swale. So, and then they're saying that some equipment sinks into it when they try and mow it or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we, to support the design of the pervious paving, dug test pits, and groundwater's high, and that's part of the reason the grades are what they are in this proposed condition here. So it doesn't surprise me that there's puddling along there or standing water, but It's also one of the reasons we're using pervious pavement at all, is because getting some sort of pond that would hold and infiltrate would be a real challenge because of the.
So you have you have the separation, was it like 4 feet, or you got more than that, or?
Well, we're still working through the design. I mean, I believe the last iteration, we had 2 feet and provided a mounting analysis. So the pervious pavement typically provides a lot of storage, so it works out pretty well,
Yeah.
but.
But you do need that separation from the high water table.
Yeah, we will have it. We will have it. We're just finalizing this current
Yeah.
layout to make sure it conforms.
Right, so I mean, I would imagine your biggest concern is the runoff from the pavement, which is going to be pervious. And then there's the runoff from North Street, which is going through the swale, and there's really not much that it can do about it except to maintain it and make sure it doesn't get filled in. And are you going to be excavating more out of it to the swale?
The swale itself is really more, I would say, it's more reshaping the grade that's there. So it's not a
You're not
big
taking anything out,
excavation.
you just,
I would probably just characterize it more as moving the material around to make the swale than a heavy excavation or
Right.
fill or anything like that, yeah.
and that's all outside the 25?
Correct.
Right, okay. All right. So
The
I sort of see how it's going to work, and it's going from 229, 228, 227,
Correct.
and then it like falls out and goes into that green area over there, which is, yeah, so it seems to be well away from McNamara, and the Bartholomew's, looks like they're all set too. Okay. I think that the applicant has addressed the concerns that you've raised. Like I said, the swale area, not really much we can do about the screening of the headlights. That's more of a planning board issue. So, if there's the proper vegetation and all that to protect it from the headlights. But I think that you're all set with the swale from
I
that.
hope so, Mr. Chairman, but
Yeah.
right now, that water doesn't move at all.
Right, right.
One other item, and then I'll sit down. There is a large dead tree along the property line. I think it's depicted in one of those photographs. And actually, there are two, one right up on North Street, near the North Street end, and then one maybe 100 feet or so down along the property line on the applicant's property. One of the trees has already partially collapsed in a windstorm a couple of years ago onto my sister's property, damaged the fence somewhat. And the other tree is there, but it's long dead, and it's a hazard unless it's taken down.
So, again, not really in our wheelhouse, so,
Well, can the planning board address it? I brought it up to the planning board as well.
We'll take them down.
Okay, that's great.
I mean, it seems more like a situation where you guys just work it out, as neighbors, if you will. I mean, we certainly don't want trees crashing down on fences in your house, and
Yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
they
It doesn't do
don't
anything
want
to
it either, so there's insurance problems and all that. But again, it's
Sure.
like, we can't tell them to take down trees that,
Understood.
All
I
right.
just wanted to raise the issue.
Yep.
And again, my main concern was the drainage.
Right.
Remains the drainage.
Yep.
Thank
Yep, I think the drainage is going to be all set. It's like the preponderance of the evidence, it's going to be no worse, if probably be better than the way it is right now. So
hope so.
their buildings and pavement are not going to make it worse.
Understood.
All right,
Understood.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to be heard? I think that's it. So can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Well, I think we have to have a motion to continue because
Motion to continue.
this hasn't been approved by the planning board, and this could change in a heartbeat.
You are changing it.
Well, no, we're going back to planning September. Correct.
All right. So you want a motion to continue?
Please.
All right. Till
The next meeting is.
September 4th?
September 4th.
Yes.
I'm trying to think when planning is. Yeah, if we could continue that meeting, that'd be great. Yes.
All right.
Just have a comment.
Sure.
About the trees, can we just locate the trees on the
Yes.
plan, just so we know where they are, in case they are in the no disturb zone? Everyone is in agreement here that they can be removed if they're a hazard.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Already have it noted on my
All right, great.
Make a motion to continue.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All right.
Thank you very much.
Where is, Andy, do you have the photographs?
All right. So, next item on the agenda is a public hearing, notice of intent for Vimal and Vishali Patel, 55 April's Way, map 29, lot 21, DEP 305-1087. Hi, good evening. Can you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Sure. My name's Jack Sullivan. I'm owner of the Sullivan Engineering Group. I'm the design engineer for this project. What my client's looking to do is add an addition to the rear of the house, a 15 by 20-foot addition, two-story, slab on grade. All the work is outside of the 50-foot no-build zone. There's no trees to be cut as part of this project, and the site grades will change less than 6 inches. The original house was built in 2012, so there was a recent delineation back when this was constructed. It's pretty straightforward. I show how the construction access will come in. It'll come in over the existing paved driveway. I show a soil stockpile area on the plan, though we don't anticipate needing a soil stockpile area. And I'm showing a 12-inch diameter stake mulch stock to run along the limit of work line. What they try to do is work with the existing site as much as possible with this addition without changing too much topography or any of the site in general.
It's
And
good.
That's basically about it. I turn it over to the commission to see if they have any questions.
I like the plan, very well prepared. I don't see any issues. You even have a existing no disturbance zone tree line. Beautiful. All right, I'm all set. Mr. Holland?
I'm all set.
Looks good to me.
All right. So this is a public hearing. Anyone to be heard on the matter? And seeing no one rising, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please? So moved. Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. And as for the notice of intent, can I get a motion to approve standard order of conditions on a plan dated 7/23/19?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Great. Do you sign the order at your next hearing, or?
We will sign it within,
Usually within 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I can contact the applicant,
Yep.
the homeowners, or you, whoever.
Okay. Yeah, you can contact me, and just so we know when it goes on, when you guys send it to the town clerk, so we know that the appeal period starts.
Okay, so it will be issued through my office. It won't have to go to the town clerk.
Oh, okay,
But-
great.
okay.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. Great.
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next item on the agenda, who asked to be continued, is a public hearing notice of intent, Mark Ginsberg, 300 Ames Pond Drive, map 66, lot 12, DEP numbers pending. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th, 2019. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, request for determination of applicability. Michael Kotomi, 97 River Road, map 15, lot 9. Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. I'm Michael Kotomi, the applicant.
All right.
I was to put a pool in and thought I was out of the wetlands because of the markings that were there, but they weren't correct.
Right.
So now I had them remarked out, and on the plan you can see it's roughly 16 feet from the no disturb zone.
All right. Are you replacing an existing pool? Right.
No, there was a pool there at one point,
At one point.
yeah,
Okay. So it's like all sandy and stuff like that.
yeah.
Great. And so this house was built in 19... Do you know when the house was built?
I am not sure.
Is it older than 20 years?
Yes.
Okay. Let's keep it at that. So we're outside of the original 10-foot, and there was an existing pool there. So,
It is
I
not
don't-
in a floodplain,
right, I
and
mean,
there is no,
I don't really have an issue with an above-ground pool in that location, seeing that it's disturbed already. It's outside of the 10-foot, which was in effect when the house was built. So don't want to take property away from you. So I'm all set with it. Mr. Holland, do you have any?
Is there a septic tank?
no.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're
Yeah.
not building a pool on a septic tank.
Yep,
Yeah. That's all I have.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, all right. So public hearing, see no one rising. So can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And as for the request, can I get a motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. You're all set. Thank you so much.
thank you very much.
Good luck.
All right, next item on the agenda is a public hearing request for a determination of applicability for Tina Razzaboni, 260 North Billrica Road, map 3, lot 88. They are asking for a continuance to September 4th. Can I get a motion to that effect? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. The next one's also being continued, a public hearing, request for determination of applicability, Arthur G. Marcos, Tewksbury Department of Public Works, Breckenridge Road, between 89 and 130, map 111, lots 71 and 72, and Jenny's Way, first lot on the left side, map 110, lot 108. Applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. This one was continued from July 10th, Mr. Robacher. So this is an enforcement order for Ray Viebert, 21 Sandy Lane, map 94, lot 305. The applicant is requesting a continuance to September 4th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. The next one is a public hearing notice of intent, Ray and Michelle Vedbert, 21 Sandy Lane, lot 94, lot 304, DP number pending. The applicant's requesting a continuance to September 4th. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And next item on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance, Premier Storage and Festers, 395 Woburn Street, map 4, lot 62, DEP 3051011. And certificate of compliance. And Stefania, what do you think?
So this was for the CubeSmart facility. So this as-built was reviewed by the engineering department. They don't see any issues that would affect the issuance of a certificate of compliance. So I think it would be fine if we did a complete certificate of compliance.
All right, no real big changes. Is this a public hearing? No. Any questions, Mr. Holland?
None.
Mr. Sheehan?
I'm good.
Nope. All right. So, can I get a motion to grant a certificate of compliance for Premier Storage Investors, 395 Woburn Street, map 4, lot 62, DEP 3051011?
So moved.
Second? Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance from Jason and Michelle Giampa, 38 Baldwin Street, map 107, lot 3, DEP 3051057. And Stefania.
So they're actually just still working on the signage, so I'm working with them on that. So I don't see an issue with continuing it until those are
Okay.
figured out.
So can I get a motion to continue to September 4th? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is an enforcement order ratification, Deepak Soni, 70 Orchard Street, map 60, lot 155. Hello. Just want to introduce yourself for the record?
So I am Deepak Soni, and that's my wife Shubhla Khan.
Sure.
We are the owner and resident of 70
Okay,
Orchards.
you had something that you wanted to show us, or?
Yeah, so I was not sure what else to bring, but I got because of the map. So this will be just some context of what we are talking about.
Sure. Stefania, you want to give us an update on what's going on?
So they started construction on a retaining wall. So in the area, there is an existing drainage pipe that conveys water from the uplands to the wetland on the side of the property. The wetlands are flagged, and an erosion control is up. I went today and it was installed. So, I mean, this will need to be ratified, but ideally the commission will amend this enforcement order to have some additional conditions on how to.
So there was
There.
never a notice of intent filed?
No, there was no permit for it.
So when I started this, 2 years back, I got the lot marked by a surveyor, and he also told me to ask a scientist, environment scientist, to delineate the wetlands. We did that, and so if you can see in the map that I draw a yellow, that's a drainage ditch. It's like 6 feet deep, and there's a small red circle that denotes the drainage pipes. So which is kind of at the end and in my property. So the small blue line that you see is the new wall that I was planning to build.
Right.
And at that time, I read through the bylaw and thought that the stone wall without concrete or mortar less than 4 feet is exempted in there. And this is my mistake that I
It's a stone
confused
wall
it with the-
without concrete,
Right.
without concrete, but the pictures clearly show there's cinder blocks with cement. Am I right?
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a mistake that I mistaken that wall with this stone wall. I didn't see any mortar or concrete being built. The contractor brought the blocks, and I thought these are stone blocks. And the plan is to
Now, they
build the
don't,
wall less than 4 feet, it's about three
do you
and a
think
half.
that they're using,
I don't know, are they using cement?
I think they're just those cinder blocks that you just
Yeah,
attach together and like, they're filling it up staggered with stone. Yeah, I think that's just a standard retaining wall. It looks pretty high, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have there's a, I don't know,
So I-
4-foot limit to, well, I mean, it really comes down to the fact that we're trying to protect the wetlands and the no disturb zone. I mean, that's what it all boils down to at the end of the day, right?
right.
So we don't want to be building things in drainage ditches. We don't want to be building things too close to wetlands. You know, we want to keep a good distance away. We want to make sure that drainage is the same. We want to make sure that there's no silt. I mean, part of the erosion control was all that dirt and debris and everything. We don't want it like washing out into the drainage dish, washing out into the wetlands. So I think, you know, you stopped working on it, you installed erosion controls, right?
Right.
So, at this point, I mean, I understand you like want to level out your yard or something like that, right? Is that the intent of this?
No, so the reason I decided to do that was the slope was pretty steep,
Right,
and since my kid is growing up and other kid do
right,
play in the yard, there's not a lot of space in the yard. If
Right.
you see in the picture, the white line is the deck railing, and it's like a few feet from there.
yeah,
And so instead of having a steep slope, I thought, okay, 4 feet wall and a gradual slope will
right.
be.
Well, you're trying to level out your backyard is basically, right?
and
So you want more flat, level it out, rather than having a big slope.
right, but still keeping the width of the drainage trench
Right.
same and
Yeah.
passage for the water.
Yeah.
How
But-
high do you want to go?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Steve. How high is the wall going to be?
3.5 feet.
Taller than 3.5 feet. So you have a construction guy putting this together for you?
Putting
You're
the
not
wall.
doing it yourself, right?
No. Yeah, I mean, house next to me, it already has an existing similar, a much higher wall. So that was another reason I thought this could be allowed.
All right. Any questions from anyone? No.
So this is, we have to ratify the enforcement order.
Yeah, but then what to do?
Then I think before it continues anything, that we're going to need a notice of intent with a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you're bringing in fill too, behind that wall. So you
Either
do,
that or you pulled it back.
what's that?
Either that or you pulled it back with a machine or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta stop. Yeah, we're gonna have to get plans and, you know. It almost looks like it's taller than 3.5 feet, you know, but I know it's like over 4, you have to get like a building permit for a retaining wall over 4 feet. Looks like you're encroaching on that, you're bringing fill, all right? So this is gonna alter the whole drainage concept, so, I think what you really need to do is just kind of like stop, put in the protection, and then get someone to do you a real plan. So that's something that's safe for your family, a retaining wall that's safe, fences, stuff like that. You don't want to bring in clean fill. You already brought in fill, but you can't change drainage patterns of the drainage ditch. So you're going to have someone like go over the drainage situation, make sure that you're not affecting the drainage as well. So does that sort of make sense? We're here to protect the drainage. We're not trying to prevent you from using your yard and doing all that. We just want you sufficiently in quality construction, especially that close to wetlands. Does that make sense? And this person next to you that has the retaining wall, you can use them as an example for the people that you're doing, that this is something that's already there, all right? But, if they did it illegally without asking for a permit, that doesn't necessarily mean that what they've done is correct, right? So can't really use them as guidance unless they pulled a permit and got everything and said, hey, they did this 20 years ago. I just want to do the same thing 20 years later, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I think at this point, we're going to ratify the enforcement order. We'll continue,
It's not a public hearing, so there's nothing to continue. We just ratify the
yeah,
enforcement.
but we need to tell them, we really need to see plans before you do any more construction of exactly, of a professional nature, because you're doing a lot of disturbance here, and it's going to require some professional to come in and properly construct the wall. So, so the first order is a motion to ratify the enforcement order. Can I get a motion to that effect?
Okay, I'll make that motion, and I think we should add that immediately that he has to have the erosion controls put in.
They were put up, right?
Oh, they were put up?
Were they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them there the next day.
Yeah, yeah, erosion controls are up, yeah.
And that a notice of intent must be filed.
Within October, so September 4th is kind of, yeah, so first meeting in October maybe? Kind of like a deadline, if you could do it quicker,
Yeah, so I was
get
planning
it,
on-
kind of like get it working before the winter time, before like the real nasty stuff hits, so the sooner the better.
Right, I was planning on getting that process started earlier, but I was
Yep.
not sure if you would want us to do that.
As soon as you want to do it, as quickly as you want to do it, that's fine. We're just saying that,
I mean-
this has to be cleared up by the beginning of October.
Okay,
That's all. Like, you should have, it'd be great if you had a set of plans, that we gave you an order of conditions and you went in there and you had it all properly constructed as soon as possible, but with a notice of intent approved by us. Does that make sense?
okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to come in front of us, back in front, with a notice of intent, with professional plans to construct this wall and to also properly protect the wetlands.
Okay.
All right. So as part of that motion then, to ratify the enforcement order, make sure that erosion controls stay in place, and the applicant shall file a notice of intent as soon as possible, but before our first meeting in October, which would be October 9th, before October 9th, certainly. Is that pretty
That's-
much it? Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Next item on the agenda is a enforcement order ratification. Valery Demchev, 9 Sydney Street, map 22, lot 40. Are you Valerie? Okay,
Valerie is my husband.
okay.
He's not here.
So what's going on here?
Just some vegetation clearing, possibly within the wetland. You can see the photograph. It's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, it's definitely within the buffer zone.
Are they trying to extend their yard or just,
So when I was on site, he said to help with the mosquito problems that they have on site.
okay?
So the enforcement order that's currently issued says to stop all cutting and allow the area to revegetate. It wasn't like all of the vegetation was ripped up, so it should just come back on its own as
Right.
long as nothing's done, and it's kind of left alone.
So do you understand what's going on?
Partially.
Yeah. Basically, in general, you're really not going to abate a mosquito control by like going in
No, we're
and
not
hacking down bushes.
doing
so-
anything because of this. It's just case of mean neighbor who's spreading in our area.
The who?
Mean neighbor.
Me neighbor.
And,
Yeah, not a good neighbor.
I
Mean
didn't
neighbor.
print too many, oh, my witnesses, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is, I don't print too many, but this was, our house just built, but not even buy it yet, it was the, and how much she get into this property that was, I kind of understand was abandoned because built both on auction and built a new.
So this is your house?
Yeah, and this is latest town map that I working with the town on different issue about Signage Street that we want. And it's where my property is. And this is recent thing. We don't cut anything, we don't do anything. We just put garden that we water from the coast from the house. We understand what wetlands are and we're not doing anything that, it's just because it's.
So this is behind your garden?
I believe it's right, that area.
Oh, that area, okay. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're clearing this area here?
Yeah, because they use it as a dumpster, basically, for their leaves, branches, everything. It's just big pile of rotten wood.
Right.
And this big willow tree, it will eventually end down on your house if we don't remove it. If you.
It is in terrible condition.
There's a willow tree?
There's a huge hole in the middle of it.
but it's her tree.
I don't know whose tree it is, but it is
She was there. It's
really
not-
bad condition.
We're destroying anything, we're not building anything, but eventually I may apply for the fence between our properties because she routinely moving into this area. I don't know if she have permit to clean it up. The way she cleaned it a while ago, the first picture was done 2012 at where the house was built. And based on the wetland, I noticed it's a little low area. Before we buy the house, I asked the builder, is it the wetland? He said no. I assume where he built the house, he's supposed to have permit and explanation what the wetland are and everything. He told me no. And when I got Stephanie later, I sent him email and asked him, do you know that it was wetland? It didn't tell me that it was land. He said wetland have tendency to change the area. If this is the case, he suggests just to figure out if it's a wetland or not. What happened, there are old railroad behind the property and it's taller than I am. There are bump, like huge bump is the old railroad that's not working anymore. And there are small point behind. And there are drainage system from the town which drain the water down, and there are pipes that go underneath and it's draining water from the town. I don't know if this area considered as a wetland or not because it's wet only when it's raining. It's not connected to the pond, never pond get to the level of their mainland. And I don't know if you would like to come over and assess us more. just to see what's going on in there.
So you're saying that you think that this is more of a drainage area?
Yeah, it's drainage area, it's not wetland, and what builder told me.
So there has to be something, we gotta find out there's an easement
And
going
once
through there.
this pipe was blocked, maybe 3 years ago, and there are like huge puddle on this lady yard. So the town was there, they tried to clean up the pipe because there are tons of vegetation around and nobody come and clean anything in there. I'm surprised it's not blocked more often, but the pipe was blocked so badly, they have to remove the old one, they can't push everything through. They install new pipe. It's not big, it's like this diameter, but
And that
they
pipe
were
comes
there.
from where? Where's the piping? Where's the water coming from that it's piping?
It's from drainage,
Drainage from the street?
like, if you can see there, it's right here in the corner. There is some wood construction there, and there are pipes. This is the railroad, and the pipe go underneath of railroad to take the water out.
Okay, so it's draining from here.
There are drainage, town drainage in my property, on the neighbor side. There are like a lot of town drainage. And they will go in here and supposed to drain to this pond because it's really down in there. The water never come too high. But when it blocked this pipe, there are like city workers with the heavy machinery that they dig the holes there and do all the work. And if it's considered wetland, I don't know how to town drain it.
So Stefania, let me ask you a question. Is the land that she cleared behind her house, is that wetland?
From what I can see out there, from the vegetation, I mean, there's skunk cabbage there. There's a lot of wet ferns that are growing. From the soil is saturated in water. I would consider it wetland.
Okay, so it's not back up from an easement
It's
that the town
possible.
has.
It just
that-
happened when it was 2 days of heavy rains.
Yeah,
If you remember,
so-
it's why it was so wet. If you come on regular time,
Well,
it's not.
it also has what they call an indicative species on it, meaning that these are plants that only grow in wetlands,
Right.
not saturated soil. But we're talking about wetlands
Yeah,
where it's really
biologist
the
by
water table.
education, I understand the importance of conservation and everything.
Okay.
And I'm not familiar with the fauna 100% and flora in the area, but there are nothing that, it was old farm before. So there are some lilac bushes, there are some other bushes, but it's all planted stuff. It's not wildlife. Like, I will consider. They might grow some
Oh,
plants.
it's even more possible if there was a farm there, they just basically cut and grew wherever they could find plants.
Yeah,
So,
there
I
was
mean,
even
you
a well
can't,
there once.
you can't think of, just because it was farmed at one point, that it's not wetland.
Yeah, but there, see, like, is wetland have some links or something? Like, look at the houses here. This, like, if you look here, this house, they clean up to the railroad. There is nothing on their side.
Yep.
Butch is just very elderly person who lives by himself. And these people, they are up the border. So wetland only on my property? This piece is
I would
wetland?
assume it's wet here. So if there's a blocked pipe that's creating a backup of water here, it is possible that over time that has changed the land to be wet.
I'm not gonna do anything, we'll just try to clean it
Yeah,
up and
no.
then take the tree out. But if we can come over sometime and take a look closely what is in there, and it's better to do where vegetation died, like I said. Right now, it's like overgrown, I tried to
Yeah.
find where the drainage is, I can't even walk there, it's just all overgrown there. Right now, you probably wouldn't see it, when they're like.
I would recommend, if you think there's a blocked pipe, that in the winter, when it's visible, to call, if it is a town pipe, to call the DPW and see if it's something that they would look into.
But for now, can we just say that they are wetlands for the sake of argument, because it has what is it called?
Indicator.
Indicative
Species.
facultative species, they're indicative species. Basically, these are plants that only grow in wetlands, and wetlands that might form over the decades, sure, but just a flooding problem won't create it. It means that there's a high water table. And where there's a high water table, that's where wetlands are, and that's where these plants grow, and that's what we're trying to protect with these laws. You know, lawn fertilizers from going in. So basically, if you just stopped clear cutting and just say, okay, that's wetland, I'm not gonna cut more than, 25 feet be great. I'm not gonna like take land away from you if it's 10 feet right now, but just stop and just let it grow back naturally. And if there is a drainage problem, have it fixed right. But going in there and tearing down, it's not gonna help with any mosquito control.
And no, we're not caring
Okay,
about mosquitoes.
but we're trying to protect the wetlands as much as we can, and if in fact,
But what about this willow tree? It will fall down on this neighbor house eventually, because one big tree fell down this winter because nobody take care of this piece. It's overgrowing the tree. because
so we
it's
do
wet.
allow people to take down trees that are a hazard. Are you saying that you want to take this tree down?
Eventually, not this year, but maybe next year, because I'm concerned if it will fall down on her roof, I will.
So if you
be in
want to do
trouble.
that, you can come into the commission, ask for a request for determination of applicability, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll say, okay, this tree needs to be taken down, do a very low impact, not going to be bring big machines in and all that kind of thing.
And to determine the wetland, should I find some company who do assessment that can tell me for sure and give
Well,
me
you
data,
can-
is it wetland or not?
You can trust Stefania's, you can trust Stefania's delineation, or you can contest it by getting someone to delineate them and say, no, these are really where the wetlands are. But at the end of the day, wherever those wetlands are, if you can get someone to come in and say, no, this is a drainage area, there are not wetlands, if you could find someone to say that, a wetland scientist, then you might have an argument against, saying that, yeah, I can do this because, but if you
I
just
wanna keep it
basically
clean
rely,
and not.
our agent like went out there, basically said these are where the wetlands are. If you want to contest it, that's fine. We're just going to presume that those are wetlands, that what she said, because they have indicative plants in
And
it.
if I want to put the fence, do I need to apply for the permit, put the fence between our properties?
You would
and
want to
this?
get, if you want to start building fences and clearing trees and everything like that, it probably might be worth the effort then for you to get a wetland scientist to actually come in and delineate them professionally for you. And then you can figure out, okay, what can I do? Because we're not going to let you put a fence through wetlands to protect your sight lines,
Okay.
Right? But,
Yes,
does that make
because
sense?
there are fences, just not all the way down.
Right. Well, again, it's like, so we're just going to ratify the enforcement order, I think. We're just going to say, just stop what you're doing,
Okay.
let it grow back naturally, okay? And if you want to take down trees, if you want to build fences, anything like that, come into the commission and ask for a request for determination.
And how I do this, my first time here, I not really know.
It's just a form to fill out. It's
It's on town
you can,
website?
yeah, you can download it from the website, fill it out. They can't file it electronically though, right?
No.
No, you have to bring it in to the office, into town hall. Yeah, that's, taking down the willow tree and everything like that. But so, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we not like
There's
cleaning the
no
area.
real reason for you to be going in there and clearing
No,
this
I
brush.
just mean lady, she
Yeah.
want to do what she want to do, and she doesn't like when other people doing what they think right thing to do. And I'm sure she call you that we're cutting wetlands or something. Nobody else can. It's just,
Right.
Well,
But as long as we're clear, it's like you don't really want to be doing this anyways. It's like you're perfectly satisfied with just stopping what you're doing and letting it grow
I
back.
understand.
Okay.
I hear you 100%. We're not gonna do anything.
All right, great.
And
That's all we
we'll
want.
apply for the permit, and I just want to make sure that all the area that cut to the railroad, it's not that we clean it up. She did it. We clean it up only from there where the other neighbor shed is to the line that she cut. So she probably have a permit, I don't know, but it's like nothing I can tell her. And she keep like feeding wild animals that come in there. She have her own way to see how things need to be done. So thank you for
All
your
right.
time. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to take that long.
So, yep, we're just gonna do some cleanup. So can I get a motion to ratify the enforcement order, and the homeowner will refrain from doing any more work near the wetlands and will apply for a permit if she does?
So
Okay.
moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Night. Okay. Next item on the agenda is an enforcement order ratification for William Benaxis, 20 Cobbett Street, map 103, lot 127.
Okay, so this was for clearing, filling, grading, installation of a pipe and a gravel trench. There's a lot going on at the property, and so as part of the enforcement order, they were told to come to the meeting, obtain a wetland scientist, and put up an erosion control between the wetlands and the disturbance. So they did actually contact Norse, and Norse will be out there probably this week or next week. However, they have requested that we continue this until they have a little bit more information about the site and where the wetlands are and know more about the violation and
Well,
what needs to be done.
it's an enforcement order. We're just ratifying to keep it in power.
Yeah, so it does need to be ratified tonight, but they would like to come back to talk about it.
Enforcement orders, we have to give a date and time, a date specific to do something. Right, so that's the only, so October 9th, when I say by October 9th, it just means that it's a deadline. That's how I understand enforcement order has to happen. So we can't just have it open. You have to say October 9th, come in here with a plan. Or by October 9th, right?
I think the next meeting, they might be ready, but,
September 4th?
yeah.
Well, they can do, I'm just like saying
Yeah.
by October 9th.
Okay.
Right, they can come in September 4th if they want.
Correct.
I'm just saying, by October 9th, they have to do something, right? That's,
Right.
that's what we've been doing.
But see, if we don't ratify the enforcement.
We will ratify it. No, you ratify it, but then also amend it to tell by October 9th, they have to come in with, we're asking for a notice of intent? Or just,
That's up to the commission. I think it would be
I think it,
beneficial to see where the wetlands are and see what Norse comes back with, but there's a lot going on site, so.
right, so we'll
and-
let the homeowner make a determination if they want to do a request, RDA or notice of intent. Okay, so, anyone else? Everyone clear? So, need a motion to ratify the enforcement order, and then we'll make another motion to amend the enforcement order to say that the applicant needs to come before us before October 9th with plans of what they are trying to do. All right,
I'll make a motion to ratify the enforcement order.
second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries, and it's for the amendment.
I make a motion that we have them in here before completion of the enforcement order by October 9th.
All right, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All right, get this straightened out. Okay, and next item on the agenda is a non-substantial change request, Town of Tewksbury, 999 Whipple Road, map 30, lot 26, DEP 305, 1060.
Okay, so this is that new communication center next to the DPW. So they're requesting a non-substantial change. They had to make a few adjustments to the bioretention areas. So it's pretty much adjustments with the grading of basins 1 and 2. So I don't see an issue with this. The engineer has reviewed it as well. I don't think anyone in the town really sees an issue, and I would consider it non-substantial, but
So they're basically just playing around with drainage,
yeah, just,
grading,
yeah,
just making it work better.
yeah. They had to move the foundation of the cell tower, I believe, or something like that. But
Anyone have any concerns over this?
No problem.
So can I get a motion that the change is non-substantial?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Last item on the agenda is tree removal for Shawshene Street, DEP 3051009.
Okay, so this is a town project. There's an order of conditions to replace the culvert under Shawshene Street. It's an intermittent stream. So when they started to get ready for the work, they noticed that there's 2 trees whose roots are going to be undermined as a result of the construction. So when that happens, they're likely going to be hazardous trees. It's likely they're going to need to be removed in a few months anyways, so.
This is the Sullivan Parkway? Down by the fork in the road?
Close, yeah, so Patton
Yeah,
Road,
those-
that area, yes.
Yeah, it's no-brainer. It's one way. The disturbance they're gonna make are just gonna make the tree fall over. So you-
Yeah, exactly, that's,
down.
yeah, so they're looking to remove those as part of the order. So,
What do we do?
so they're requesting that the trees be approved to be removed as part of the order of conditions. So if the commission is okay with that, they can make a motion to approve the removal of those trees.
I don't think we can modify the order of conditions. We could say it's a non-substantial change, but
Well, I'm not asking for, they're not looking for a modification.
And it is public good, so.
well, I know, it's just like, I don't think we can just change an order of conditions. They either amend it, or they come in with a non-substantial change, or they file an RDA, or you can't just change an order of conditions. That's the whole reason for amendments and non-substantial changes.
So I guess my only thing would be that this would then be moved to the next meeting. The only thing I'm changing is the title of what this is under the agenda.
Right, and we're gonna delay that project because I think they're
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could have put this under non-substantial change for tree removal, I think.
Is it a notice
Either
of
way,
intent?
they're asking, it's an approved order of conditions.
Right.
So what they're asking is to,
When they come in
Allow
for their
for two
certificate,
additional
when they come in for their
trees.
certificate of compliance, they'll explain that they had to remove 2 additional trees. Right? That's what everyone says. They always, I mean, we just had someone come in and say, hey, we changed our order of conditions, we did these changes because of. When they
but I
come-
think instead they're coming beforehand and not just doing it without permission.
Okay. I don't see how we can give them permission, but I don't know. You can't just change an order of conditions. We can certainly give them an emergency order or something like that, but it's like,
Yeah, I would do the emergency certification because of the fact that to have this
Yeah.
project continue safely, they're gonna have to remove those 2 trees.
all right.
Yeah, sounds
And I'll
good.
make that motion.
So we'll make a motion for an emergency certification to remove those 2 trees. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. There you go. And that's it for the old business, new business administrative report. That's it. Welcome to our new member.
Yes, welcome.
And Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?